Hey everybody, Wisdom here, 11:11 p.m. Wednesday, January 8th, 2014. I am very excited about this. Going to introduce here in part 53, Rubble Rouser. Rubble Rouser is a brand new Swap Force character. Literally, he is a swapper. Really looking forward to these two. I have said for quite some time the Earth Element looked like it was going to be in good hands. Currently, these guys fairly hard to come by. Target had them roughly for like a week or so exclusive. They completely botched it. Hardly any of the stores had any stock at all. They didn't have them up online. It's just kind of like a nightmare situation. The good news is it was a short window. Toys R Us now has got them. Amazon's got them. I ordered them. I found Rubble Rouser and Stink Bomb. My store, oddly enough, didn't have Spyrise, and people had said that I actually saw stock that he was the easiest one to come by. That said, what's happening at my local store, they claim that they had to keep them locked up in a glass case in the back, which is odd because the other Skylanders were not, but you know, whatever. I was able to get those two that way. That said, Amazon got all three of them. They got Archean Crossbow Battle Pack, Sheepwreck Island. They've all been kind of cycling in. They have now Toys R Us's Wave 3 core characters available. Other retailers should be getting in the mix very soon. Walmart, Best Buy, etc. Target, I guess, should have access to the BPs, APs, and core characters. GameStop this Saturday, if you've missed out and you couldn't get them at Toys R Us for some reason, they should have, I would hope, pretty good stock on everything. But that said, just introduced Hyper Beam Prism Break. It's a nice segue here, going from Earth Element Wave 3 Series 3 character to Rubble Rouser. I just pulled Hyper Beam Prism Break. I'm now putting Rubble Rouser on. Before we take a look at his intro animation, you should note we're probably going to get some accolades here for our Portal Master rank. Gorilla Drilla is the other dig Skylander, that of course being the swap zone ability. Rubble Rouser completes that. I think there was one for get a swapper from each element. This will complete that, and then I don't know if there's any others that'll come up, but we should at least, I think, have those two. So let's go ahead, back out of here, watch his introduction, and then go to town with a Rubble Rouser.
Brace for impact!
Tunneling team, that would be our dig. And transmutation, I think that's the one I was thinking of.
Rank up.
Now then, of course, we got our rank up now to 16, so that's pretty cool. That said, 310, that's his health right now. Of course, he's actually 280. This is Wednesday. The hammer is actually glowing. That's kind of interesting. As you can see, literally his first time on the portal. Note the shoes or the drills are actually actively going. That's kind of one of his animations there. It looks like he's going to toss the hammer up in the air, spin it around, and catch it. Let's see if he twirls it. He may. I don't know. We'll monitor all that some other time. That said, what does he look like jumping? Pretty nimble for a big guy. Having kind of a little trouble landing him. He kind of has like the Jumpman vibe going, so that's pretty cool. We finally got him. I guess it's because he has drill shoes, so he kind of has to tilt his toes up so he lands on his heels or something. That said, primary attack with a swapper is going to be, upper body, if you will. So let's see what happens here. Okay, I think it was going to let me charge that. Just pressing it. It's 56, kind of slow. Let's see what happens when I hold Y again. I'm just going to hold it and hold it and hold it and see what he does. You can move while you're doing that. I'm guessing that it's not going to release unless it takes an eternity to charge up, so I'm going to release this. Let's see if it does 70 or more. Yeah, so 70. So 56, and then if you... Wow, that was a 105. 70. It really doesn't take much time to charge it. You kind of start to feel the gamepad shake. But yeah, I mean 56 charge, 70 to 105. Secondary attack that's going to be tied in with his lower body or the legs. Let's see what it does. Okay, I think that looked like a 50. Yeah, so he apparently burrows down, moves fairly quick, pops up. That was a 75. So 50 to 75 basically. Let's see if I can control who he moves. Yes, I can. Pretty good range. I'm going to come way the heck over here. And let's see if he goes to the training dummy or it kind of times out. Okay. Well, that's not what I was hoping to see. I'll try it on the grass, I guess. And see what happens. Yeah. Now let's face that guy. Well, the sheep was in the way, of course. Well, huh. You get the general idea. It seems like if the sheep weren't here and you can actually face towards the statue and knock down with the same guy over and over. You know, 50 to 75 and then what, 56, 70, and 105. Pretty good damage numbers for the box dog guy. Again, not going to be super fast, not going to be able to run away from everything, but not too terribly slow for, you know, the size, stature, and the giant hand. That said, coming here to collection, Cycle to Spyro's head. 103 overall, 13 on the Earth element, that's where we're headed. And he should be the very last thing in here, right above. Now they've switched places, Doomstone was above him, so that's nice. We've determined that this goes the order you put them on the Portal of Power, so if you put Dino Ring as your very first into Swap Force, he would be the first character way over there. That said, Brace for Impact is the slogan for Rubble Rouser. Let's read his bio. Cool artwork there. Again, he's kind of got like the toes up. Of course, you would too if you had active drills for toes. Hailing from a race of creatures who ate rock for a living, Rubble Rouser spent most days digging his way through the vastness of Deep Mountain, mouthful by mouthful, alongside the rest of his people. But Rubble Rouser found he could eat up far more ground with a swing of his hammer or a spin of his drill. However, the leaders of his race wanted no part of changing the way they worked. That is, until the evil rock lords trapped them deep within the mountain. It was then that Rubble Rouser showed everyone the power of his ways by defeating the rock lords with his mighty hammer and drill. Afterward, the leaders encouraged Rubble Rouser to seek out the Skylanders, who readily welcomed him. So, pretty cool story there. And again, I really like the artwork we're seeing. Again, that one tooth ties in with the figure and all the artwork I've seen. So, you can probably imagine if you ate rock for a living, you might have lost one of your fang-like incisors as well. That said, we're going to back out of all this, come into Skylanders,
Looking
go to
pretty
stats.
solid.
You kind of see the animations there. Drills are going pretty good. Max health, he is at 280. Since it is Wednesday, it's the plus 30. Speed 35. Sadly, doesn't look like there's much room for improvement there. There is a big window of improvement for armor, and that kind of offsets the speed. Critical hit 7. Elemental power 88 because we're plus 63. We're going to back out of here now. Come in 2 upgrades. Swappers. You upgrade the top and you upgrade the bottom. Everything that you see until I tell you otherwise when we're back on the screen will be for the top end. That was his other animation. Looks like he throws the hammer, you know, hand to hand, so that's kind of cool. Top upgrades. Let's take a look here. Hammer swing. This is his primary attack. Press Y to swing a massive hammer. Hold to charge up more powerful swing. So again, 56 standard, 70 to 105 charge. First purchased upgrade on a swapper is Tools of the Trade. Press X, that's the tertiary attack, to smash nearby enemies with a hammer. Second purchased upgrade is Happy Hammering. All hammer attacks do increased damage. Final purchased upgrade is called Drill Head. Hold X to drill into the ground, causing an earthquake. Okay, I was going to say, I guess they don't show the price if it's locked. So now you get to a point you actually have to pick a path. I think the top one is called Drill Pitcher, and the bottom is Excavator, even though that's kind of confusing given the bottom end's digging abilities. Anyway, this top one here, Drill Pitcher Path, begins with Nailed It. That reminds me that I need to do my T25 here shortly. Press YY and then hold and release Y to throw a charged hammer attack. I don't know how far that thing will go, but that would actually be pretty cool. Second one, down the Drill Pitcher path, it's called Sledgehammer. Throwing the hammer does increase damage, don't try indoor. So basically, Drill Pitcher, you throw the hammer and then it'll do more damage. If that doesn't interest you, you can go with Excavator. It begins with Rock Shards. Press X to send shards of rocks flying out of the ground, damaging nearby enemies. Next up is Gem Quality. Press X to unearth more powerful rock shards that damage nearby enemies. So essentially you're going to pick between upgrading the tertiary, you know, to kind of like throw shrapnel around, or throwing the hammer, kind of primary type deal. That said, what you do get on the top, and this is a big deal, Obsidian Skin. This is a soul gem. You can find it in Winter Keep. Rubble Skin becomes harder than stone, decreasing damage taken. And it looks like that's going to be a significant boost, probably at least plus 40, I would imagine. That's it for the top half. We're back on this screen. That means everything we look at now relates to the bottom end. Primary attack is Deep Dig. Press A to quickly dig, then come out of the ground, damaging nearby enemies with, what, 50 and 75, I think? First purchased upgrade is called Minor Miners. Press A to dig into the ground, burst out of the ground a short time later, damaging nearby enemies, and summoning small angry miner allies. So basically the same thing as you had box stock, but you now have this little angry miner show up. Second purchased upgrade, health is increased. That's pretty nice. Tough as stone. Third purchased upgrade, Tunnel Expedition. Hold A to continue drilling while underground. Release to surprise enemies from below with a devastating attack. That looks pretty promising. Now on the bottom end, you've got two paths again. The top one is called, I believe, Boulder Boulders. Begins with Boulder Toss. Hold A to drill underground. While underground, boulders will rapidly shoot out. This is kind of like Excavator up top. Aim the boulders towards enemies to damage them. I'm assuming there's like an analog stick thing they don't mention. Second one is So Bold. Boulders do increased damage. Getting hit with rocks really hurts. Now, if that doesn't interest you, you think, hey, that's a lot like Excavator, yada yada, you would want to take the Miner Foreman path. That begins right here with Miner Craft, play on words there. Call up to 4 miner allies to help you defeat enemies. The cause is righteous. So essentially, you'd burrow, and you'd have these 4 little angry dudes out there. Now, on strike, miner allies do increased damage. Oh no, they won't go. Not until experience points show. So, clever play on words there. And again, obviously, this is just an extenuation of the purchased upgrade. You can have up to the 4, and now they're a little bit more resilient, hardy, and they're going to deal some damage for you. That said, the soul gem on the bottom end, you can find it in Winter Keep. It is called Pop Rock. Hold A to drill underground, release to toss a huge boulder into the sky, which comes down on enemies nearby a short time later. With that said, I'd be inclined to say if I just had one Rubble Rouser, you should take this path, because that's going to come out of the ground with Pop Rock. However, these could do a lot of damage. The good news is, when I ordered Spy Rise from Amazon, I went ahead and ordered a second Rubble Rouser. I currently don't know of any like planned variations of the guy. He would have been good as a dark character, I think. It just looks like he could have pulled that off. But what I'm getting at essentially is that I will have access to the second character to do both paths. So that said, we're going to back out of here, go to quests now. Pretty redundant here, really only care about the last 3. That said, I'm going to cover these. Defeat 1,000 enemies, eat 15 pieces of fruits, don't take damage outside story mode, win 10 PvP, Totally maxed out. If you don't like Rubble Rouser, this encourages you to fully max the guy out, play with him, and then say, I still don't like him, or wow, he's definitely improved. Elementalist, 7,500 elemental bonus damage. The two big ones for the earth element. Savior of the land, free the terror squid in twisty tunnels without switching Skylanders. And then Unearther, use shovels to the total of 25 holes. It's a shame you have to use shovels, because he could crank this out really fast if it wasn't for that catch. Now the big one is his personal quest. Oh, what a drill. Of course, that's a play on Oh, what a thrill. Deal a total of 400 damage in one drilling earthquake using the drill head attack. That one was... where? I don't even remember reading about the drill head. I guess that's the hammer. I think it was the last purchased upgrade, I think so. Probably not going to be too hard to do that, I guess. That said, gonna pack out of there. That is pretty much it for Rubble Rouser. He got us some new accolades. Looks like he'll be pretty fun. Upgrades kind of seem a bit redundant from the top to the bottom, particularly like Excavator and then what was it, Boulder Toss or Boulder? I think Boulder. I think Boulder Toss was the actual upgrade. So those two kind of have a really strong similarity, but nonetheless, I mean, they could do some insane damage, be worthwhile to explore. That said, that is Rubble Rouser. I'm going to come in now. We're actually going to introduce Stink Bomb, and I know that will give us some Portal Master accolades for the simple fact he is the first sneak. We'll also have both life characters because once again he ties in with Drilla, and we'll kind of see how it goes from there. But as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. That'll keep you up with all the latest. You can follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, circle me on Google+, whichever you prefer. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you back here for part 54 when we introduce